Welcome, friends, to Design Bay Area podcast, hosted and produced by CL Media, where consciousness meets creativity and stories come to life. Let's get to it.
Good morning. I have the pleasure of sitting here chatting with Yves Behar, co-founder of Fuse Projects. And we're just going to chat a little. I'd just like to chat with you a little bit about what you have going on, some of the projects that you're launching or working on. I also really want to talk about how Fuse Project has transitioned to this independent design studio and how you're working closely with C-suites and founders and product designers. I think this is really exciting, and I think that a lot of people might not know about this.
Thank you. And that's a lot to talk about.
So why don't you tell me about some of the recent projects that you've worked on through the agency and this new model, or maybe even how this new model came about?
So the Fuse Project has been around for 25 years, and we really have sort of two main activities. One is to work with big companies on, I would say, transformational projects, things that are really strategic to them. So I'll give you an example. Samsung, the Frame TV, we built up from the ground up. Samsung never had the intention of putting art on TVs or creating a subscription model with it, but because we had a long-term partnership with them, strategic partnership, and at that time we were bringing ideas to them. So that's like a big corporate project. The other ones, the other 50% of our work is work with startups, where, since 2006, 2007, we have worked with over 100 startups as partners. So that means we have equity, royalty, other sort of modes of, of collaboration and financial partnership. And the one currently I'm very excited about is the Tello truck, a company that we co-founded with two veterans, really, of the EV car industry. And we're actually about to take it to Detroit to present it at the Summit Conference. So that's one of the many startups that we've worked with, obviously, over the years. And our goal is to really sort of enable these entrepreneurs to bring differentiated, really new concepts to industries that are quite static. And the car industry is certainly one of them. But we've done this across electrification and EVs. We've done this across consumer products. We've done this in B2B, medical, FDA approval type of ventures. Really a wide range. But some of it lands in education, some of it lands in health and healthcare and well-being, and a lot of it in sustainability, new technologies, robotics, lots of different categories. But I think a lot of what these projects have in common is really a humanistic sort of point of view on what these new directions, new technologies can bring to the everyday.
This humanistic point of view, so I think that's something you obviously strive for, right? So how are you inspired, or how do you move into that sort of research to figure out how you can make it the most applicable?
I mean, for me, it's been a long practice. Really since the 2000s, we've been working on a lot of nonprofit work, pro bono work. We're going to talk about one of these today, actually. I really feel like design is a generous profession. We always are considering the needs of people. And so whether you work in a for-profit environment or a nonprofit environment, you're really caring about the same things. You're caring about consumers feeling taken care of. People are in need, feeling that the service that's being delivered to them is a value and really accompanies them through that journey. Again, whether it's education or health or healthcare. So to me, design is fundamentally humanistic. Design considers all the facets and all the different elements that can contribute to people's lives. And so it's a long, ongoing practice, I would say, in parallel with the rest of our work. But I don't see it as differentiated. I don't think the process is different. I don't think the aim is different. You know, design wants to be efficient.
Right.
It wants to bring the most for the least. It wants to deliver, you know, the best in a way that is comprehensible and adoptable. So.
That's great. You've always been so generous with your time and giving back and working on products that benefit society. So we
what else is
appreciate
there
that.
to do?
I know.
I mean,
Good. Where does that come from? Like
life is short. We have to do it.
It seems to be rooted in everything that you do. It's woven into. You can see it in all of your work.
I grew up in Switzerland. I mean, I grew up nearby, you know, the United Nations, and nearby the Red Cross, and nearby UNESCO, and in a way, you know, those were always examples of, you know, how, you know, when you grow up in Switzerland, when you grow up in such a beautiful, you know, privileged place, how the rest of the world, you know, is in need or benefits from, you know, from the participation, right? I mean, it's for me being from Switzerland, it's a tradition, and I don't see how it would be any different. Amazing.
So I want to hear a little bit more about the vehicle, since you're launching it in Detroit. You're actually heading there today, correct?
Yes.
So how much influence did you have as a fellow surfer? You know, we've been geeking out over sort of that aspect of it. It's small, it's electric, and it's not taking up a lot of space, right? So why don't you tell me a little bit about that? Did you have any influence over the utility of that, or?
So when, you know, Jason Marks and Forrest North, the other two co-founders, approached me to join the team, you know, within the first month of the founding of the company, we really sort of developed this perspective, both in terms of engineering, but also in terms of principles and vision, that pickup trucks, you know, specifically, which are the best-selling vehicles in the U.S., have gotten bloated, you know, too large, too heavy, you know, dangerous because of that, actually, and that we could bring the same utility, but at a much smaller scale. So we have a Tacoma-size performance, which means, you know, the same loads, the same towing capacity, the same truck bed, the same interior room as a Toyota Tacoma, but in the size of a two-door Mini, 152 inches long. And we're able to do that because of unique battery technology and unique safety approach. And so it's really rooted in fundamental engineering innovation that takes full advantage of what EVs are and can do. And I think, you know, for me, a lot of EV vehicles are basically batteries thrown into configurations that are old-fashioned, you know? It's like, well, you know, we don't have a front engine anymore. Let's put a frunk there, a front trunk. Well, I've had an EV since 2012, so I've been driving an EV continuously for 13 years. I use the front trunk maybe once every 6 months.
So not useful.
Not useful. It's really a city pickup truck. It's aimed both at fleets, meaning, you know, contractors, you know, large industry, and individuals. For fleets, it solves a lot of problems because big pickup trucks are, you know, they're too large for cities. They can't do a lot of jobs. They can't go into parking lots to pick up trash bins, etc. Right? They're just too big. And for everyday users like us, well, we have a few tricks to make it fun, to make it a weekend vehicle, to make it a good work vehicle. And I always carry stuff around, right? I mean, I just
not on the front.
Not on the front. And so one of the tricks that as a surfer I felt was important, but I realized that this is something important for contractors as well, is the mid-gate folds down, meaning the part in between the passenger cabin and the truck bed folds down, essentially extending the truck bed from a 6-foot truck bed, which is standard, to an 8-foot truck bed, which means you can put flat a 4x8 sheet of plywood in there with a tonneau cover going over that. You can leave your tools and all your stuff is safe. Of course, that's great for surfers too.
Right.
I can put a flat in the truck, in the truck bed without the fin sticking out, of the gate and whatnot. I can have an 8.5-foot surfboard just sitting there.
Right.
And again, with a tonneau cover on top, it's safe, and I can leave my stuff out in the city.
Amazing. Easy to park. Great. So I think we're going to wrap up, but before we go, I know you're also a big supporter of students and emerging designers. Do you have any little bit of advice that we can leave them with if they watch this?
I stay very involved with students and young designers. We always have a few in the office as well. And I really feel like today, the skills of design are more important than ever. And don't be tricked, or don't think that AI is going to replace the craft and the needs that designers have. I don't think that is the case at all. And in fact, this human touch on products, on bringing disparate elements to a product and its resolution is absolutely essential. So, for me, there's a lot of distractions that are possible as a student. You get dragged into a lot of different classes, a lot of different things. But to me, the most important thing is to become a really good designer, to develop those skills. And, often AI can be an extension, can help with some aspects of the process, absolutely. But it can also be a distraction from learning the skills. And in the world of distractions that we're in,
Right.
how, for me, the big question is, how do you spend the 10,000 hours that it takes to become a good draftsman, to learn about design and the history of design, and to learn about the skills of taking your imagination and putting that on paper. All of this is essential, and I would say, the best interns and young designers that we have really focused years of their lives on developing those skills. So don't take the shortcuts. There's no hack. Just spend the time, do the work,
Focus.
And you'll come out the other side, and you'll have a great portfolio and a great career, I think.
That's great advice. So thank you for taking a couple minutes with me this morning. It was good chatting with you, and I hope we'll see each other soon.
Absolutely, and I really want to support design in San Francisco, and I think you're doing a great job, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Yves. Thank you.